Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the very soggy, the very damp, soon-to-be hurricane-ridden fields of the Extreme Palace in the Extreme Studios just west of Orlando, Florida. I have, from the hurricane-free Great Plains of the Midwest there, the man himself, RDV. RDV, tonight we're going to be talking about The Old Man, Season 2, Episode 5, The Fate of Emily Chase.
The Old Man, which also takes place during a rainy episode.
You are correct, sir, and I say that because Florida man, we have to deal with these kinds of things. And I got to tell you, after last week's episode, which I thought was quite phenomenal, I had been a little not sour, but a little bit. I had to accept the fact that the episodes were definitely at the end of season 1 going in a particular direction. That while I enjoyed it, I cared about other aspects of these two guys and their relationship, but I really thought the last episode was probably one of the better ones because it really put together everything. Emily had a chance to kind of shine and put everybody in place and kind of reset everything. This episode, it's not bad, but it's one of those ones where you like almost have to stop and take a breath because it's what I call one of these pivotal ones, because if you're not paying attention to all the information dialogue and what they're resetting for the second half of what the season is going to be, you're going to miss out on a lot. So this is kind of all right, we've had the big thing. Now we got to take a deep breath and recount where we're at and take stock of all these ideas and stuff there too. So not necessarily as fun as the last episode or as good in my opinion, but significant, I would say, but not particularly fun in that regard. What's your take on it?
This was actually very. I thought it was gonna be a filler episode, but it was actually pretty good, setting it up as far as that's why I had the photo right there at the fate of Emily Chase, because they want you to believe that she's dead. And it's also tying to everything, the events of last episode with the Russians, them basically, Harold having to deal with his wife. But basically, he's kept in the dark, and she agreed to. And now they brought back a person that tried to kill, not only Mark, well, killed Morgan Boats. Well, when it got to go with Zoe, and now they got to interrogate him. And what's really cool about the whole setup for this is that the basement is already come home. She's on Harold's wife is basically on the phone with the plumber. Her basement's leaking, spring a leak, pipe leak. The basement's flooding. Very fancy, rich place where they live. And they actually you can tell it's the state of where they live because they have 2 hot water heaters. So it's a nice, fairly big house.
Mm-hmm.
And so. That basement is like basically the focal point of the episode, pretty much, because everything.
What happens in basements?
Basements get.
And I don't mean the little kid stuff.
No. Basements get flooded, but basements are also the place where you go where you don't want anybody to see anything or hear you scream. Right. The Burbs was down there. Everything is.
Under the stairs.
But basically, the Zoe
Charles Bronson getting electrocuted.
We get the dogs come back in with Zoe and Henry, and they come back with Harold to Harold's house. They're gonna stay there. They park the car. Every single shot in this show this reminds me of watching Miami Vice. And like I said, when we eventually do review Miami Vice, we're gonna talk about that, the camera work, everything, how it
absolutely
spawned all of this. No, Michael Mann is a genius. And so they're there. Basically, I like this. They're basically there to hide out for a little bit, and you get to meet Harold's wife. We've only, they've been talking for this second season on the phone. We saw her I don't think we've ever seen her in the first season. I can't remember. We might have when Emily was over.
You don't recall though. That's the point.
But that's the thing though, because she wasn't that big of a character. She was just there. So now we get to hear she's in this whole entire episode, and while they're staying there, they basically change clothes. They're trying to call Emily, because in the beginning episode you saw Emily basically allow Tariq and the little kid, the one his mother was shot. They leave. They're evacuating everybody out of this village because they buried her father. Hazmad and the Taliban. When you see the Taliban are off in the distance, engaging with their guys on the cliff pass, and so when Dan, or aka Jeff Bridges' character Henry, is this fake name, they basically make contact with Emily, and Emily says don't worry, we're evacuating. Everybody's up. He's like, and what's left is like, because he asked her, what left? Family's here. So he's like, go use the tunnels. And of course, because the 20 men that were over there easily get killed, wiped out, and Dan Chase knows that. He says, dude, Emily, you need to get out of there. Abby, whatever, or it's Emily, and then what's the other name? It's not Abby was her mother. Can't remember. Anyway, but that's the point. He tells her you need to get out of there. Go to the tunnels. But then the Taliban start coming in through the tunnels. And he's like, that's bullshit. They should have known about the tunnel's existence.
Right.
So they come in through that way. So somebody betrayed somebody because and towards
you always
the end,
have moles in these situations.
Yes,
right?
yes. That's what we learned for the whole entire season, and the last season. You can't trust anybody. So the rush, it turns out the guy's coming in after, because she's on the phone. She has to go because they breached the compound. There's gunfire, and then you hear people screaming, and then the line goes dead. But before the line goes dead, you hear Russians speaking. So the Russians somehow made it through the tunnels into the compound, and all we know is that this guy, I want to say Gorbachev, that's not his name, but it's like something, whatever. This Russian guy basically wants control of the lithium deposit, so he must have made a deal with somebody, and I want to bet it probably was that Tariq guy, her half brother or cousin, whatever it is, the one who could speak English, the one that came back, the family. Right. I bet you he made a deal because he'd rather deal with the Russians than deal with the Taliban. That's what I can think, because they killed the Taliban guy.
What I can't tell with the Russians' involvement here that we're picking up and seeing is whether or not it's going to come full circle back to the United States government. That's been my long-term, not plan, but my thought process on it. And I just can't quite tell, because you get some things like I see repositioning in here, and that's definitely one of them to me.
The Taliban, the Taliban are the new people coming in this season. The Russians have been wanting to get that lithium deposit. They were searching for it back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And now this guy, he sees like he wants to use control of it now. And it's we're led to believe as the audience that Emily might be dead. As far as I know, they're not going to kill her off. She's going to be either hiding or she's been taken hostage, and this guy is going to want to he say, hey, we need Zoe. Because it turns out after they sneak the guy, and Zoe, because basically Zoe is told to go distract Harold's wife, John Lithgow's wife, upstairs in the kitchen. And they have a talk about, hey, are you, let me know on this, what's going on, or are you just lying to me too? Basically they have a little heart-to-heart contact. She gets a little bit more answers, or at least closure a little bit. But while they're doing that downstairs, they bring a guy downstairs. But first, though, what's a really cool scene, John Lithgow's head goes out. It's in the middle of the rain. It's nighttime. He stands up real close to camera, and then in the distance, out of focus, I love these out of focus things, you see the trunk pop open the car, and you just see with a sack full of baseballs or something, you just see Jeff Bridges' character just beating the shit out of whatever's inside there. It's like whack. Yep. And then you see the shot from underneath the car. You see the tarp over the guy, and they carry him in, and then they go downstairs, and he says, "Dude, hey, John Lithgow, go upstairs. You've never interrogated like I did. I need answers." So, and he goes up, and he goes upstairs, and you hear the guy scream, or he's muffled, and he's screaming, and then it's just like they cut away from that for a while. But when they come back, and he's like they're all he reveals like, he was looking for you, Zoe. You were the other target, and they're like, what? Because whatever Hazmad's lawyer wanted to tell you over the phone, the Russian guy doesn't want you to know, so they're gonna go to London. So everybody's leaving, and John Lithgow's like, he tells honey, hey, you go to the hotel. I'm just gonna stay here. I'm gonna clean up a little bit, because that's what he is. He's a cleaner. Yeah. I love this. He goes down, but he goes downstairs. He walks away. You see him putting gloves on, and then you see him walk out of the. This is all from the top of the stairs, which is really cool about this. And the it's still flooded down there a little bit. So he's walking, and then you see him come back, and he's got a saw, and that's all you see.
That's all you need to know.
Oh my gosh! Like I said, what would have been like, it's a little filler episode, but you get more information what you need to just to kiss what your appetite basically. And that's what I liked about this episode. It's short, it's sweet, and I'm amped up for the next one because I want to see what's going on in London.
So one of the things that I found myself thinking about after the episode, after watching it, is you're mentioning some scenes that point out and we go, okay, this is important because of this. Well, hey, that's great, but at the same time it's like, well, I like the scene, why did I like it? I don't know. Was it the music? Was it the acting? Was it this? Was it
everything? The lighting?
Well, but here's the thing. One of the things I liked about here with John Lithgow, we talked about the season is obviously a little different than the first one, where we've talked about how it's about family relationships, and the other stuff serves as just the taco shell for everything to be an ingredient of or whatever. I'm hungry right now, bro. I'm starving. And I didn't realize it, but if you thought about it, when we talked about how you're a 90-year-old plus actor and you end up getting shot at the end of last episode, but you saw his home and his environment, and I made the comment that the guy, he was dressed impeccably. Like, if you're 90 years old, you need to be dressing like that. Not in sweats and the sandals and the Florida man kind of get up gear if you're retired. That's you're 90 years old, you got to represent, and he did a really good job. Joel Grey did, and even though he got whacked, the point is we saw his character kind of early in season 1, but more referenced now, and you're like, oh, he's more of a major player, so they leaned into him, right? Then he gets whacked, but not before your eyes. He was a heavy and he got shit done. But he's not one of the old mans. He's not going to be that guy, which is just a euphemism. I'm sure it can be any of them. But one thing that happened here, that it seems obvious me stating this, but for now we've only seen Jeff Bridges and his daughter, and then realizing they're both kind of all related in a way because of her. We didn't necessarily see her become the focal point of the 2 seasons, which they kept her hidden. When I say hidden, she had a role that transitioned, right? And it's like you could only see it kind of happening. You didn't know where it was going to go, which is cool. But what I liked here that helped out is you get to see John Lithgow dealing with his woman, dealing with his home. So you get to see how things are different. And so originally you start off again. The first episode was tremendous shit. No idea where it's going to go. You see him in a small town. I thought they were going to deal with memory loss a little bit or something. They didn't really go that way. He's got his dogs. He can tell people are watching him. That's badass shit, right? To your point. And I'm mentioning this because it just goes with what you said. You get information visually by seeing it. It doesn't have to be said or communicated, not all of it. And it's better when it's not. So here, when you see it, you go, yeah, this is the scene where, a woman's bitching about the husband. Well, you're supposed to tell me how I'm supposed to now. And it's like, no, because your life's at stake. Trust me, it's a man. That's what I do.
I thought it was going to go that way.
Yeah, and it didn't.
No, it did
not. And I'm
not.
thankful for that, right? No matter what's going to happen, I'm thankful because it shows them being really more together as a couple rather than, now shut up, bitch, get the hell out of here or anything like that.
Well,
that means she's probably going to be more of a figure later on, right?
And that's the thing. If you marry someone who's in the CIA, you got to accept that they can't tell you everything.
Exactly. You're not going to be a typical wife because it's not a typical relationship.
No, it's not.
So the scene you just mentioned, though, even though it may seem grim, it's perfect for what it is. We don't have to see him being violent. Just the fact that he went and he got the saw with knowing what's going on in the background you described. That's what the show does do well. Cinema-wise, it gives you these things where you can watch it. And it makes it believable that these actors in their 70s portraying guys in their 70s still seems, legitimate. We're not worried about whether or not they've got arthritis or whether they've got cancer or whether they, need to take their afternoon nap and they're eating oatmeal. We're like, no, these guys are capable of doing it. That's a hard job to do.
It's like when we were for those who watch Rambo, the last one they did, he might be slower, we might be older, but they still know how to do things and they're good at it. So these characters, John Lithgow's character is smart. So is Jeff Bridges' character. They're smart. They're just a little slower. Martin Boat's his character didn't have to. He had a physical presence, just being intimidating, just sitting in a chair, and then because how smart he is, he's dangerous. Connections he has. Just because you're old doesn't mean that you're feeble. And that's the great thing about being old, though. These guys, they can pretend to be feeble, beat somebody else, and then the next thing you know, they're slitting your throats.
They're letting people see them for how the people think they see them, and they know better.
The other thing about this, we talk about John Lithgow's character, Henry, when he goes upstairs, Harold goes upstairs into his son's bedroom. sits there. We actually get to see a shadow with a shadow outline, but of his son Chip Harper. So his dead son is talking to him. He's like, "Wow," and it's played by actor Brad Beyer, who's been known to be on some like CNIS, and like his biggest show was Jericho.
Okay.
I never watched it, but anyway. But I kept when I heard his voice, I'm like, did they get Reacher? Because it almost sounded like he got the guy from Reacher, talking. But and at first you're like, is he crazy? But he's like, well, they just listened to what Emily, who basically is almost like a daughter to John Lithgow's character. Yeah. So and he just losing another kid, I think the son died of suicide. I can't remember what they said, if they were explaining what happened to his son, but or if he was a Marine or whatever. But you got to see that, and like him talking to him, and then he realizes what actually meant, by set down by Emily, so he's not all there, but he has his demons, and and his son is like his kind of like his conscience got in there. It's all psychological, but I love that. The other thing we got to see here is when Jan Chase basically goes into John Lithgow's closet to get some clothes. He comes across, John Lithgow's uniform, a service uniform. He looks at it, and so he kind of like pauses for a second, and I'm not sure what's going through his mind, but like he's reminded that this guy is a serviceman too, and probably has probably some other flashbacks. Because these guys have been together since like the 80s. Until they broke their way, when Abby and Emily, and Dan went their own ways, to hide, because there's the last contact he had. They wanted to be off the grid. So like that, they threw that little Easter egg in there too. And overall, I kept thinking about it. I was like, so at the end, you see him you see John Lithgow's character with a saw. I'm like, what is he gonna do with the saw? And like, oh, he's gonna cut him up, but you're in water though, bro. There's gonna be blood everywhere. Are you gonna vacuum the water up somewhere? Like that's what I'm trying to figure out, because you gotta pump the water. That's the only thing I thought about. Is like, because usually when people like do that stuff, they throw a plastic tarp down, then they do it, and then they put it on the tarp, and then they wrap the tarp up.
Yeah, the kill room stuff.
So like they Dexter, all that crap. Or whatever watching. There's a way to do it. I just thought it was kind of weird. It's like, well, and they got all the evidence but they probably think that no one's going to go in their basement looking for this guy, because no one knows he's there. The only thing is that this is they're also hiding out because of the fact that Morgan Boats was killed by the Russians, and then they left the body there of the dead guy. So like, they're probably gonna figure out who shot the, I don't know, or I guess this was the guy. This is okay. So actually, never. Let's get back. Morgan Boats shot the first one, killed him, but the second one who killed him is the one they just tortured. Okay, I thought the dogs killed him at first. I had a brain fart. Duh. But overall, as far as they're going to London, that's the next stop. What's going to go on with this Russian guy? I was looking him up, and they mentioned him in this episode, but can't remember what his name is. But anyway, yeah, what a crazy short episode. Like, it's all within one room. Didn't have to really go anywhere, downstairs, upstairs, and it's kind of all you really needed, though. I was expecting like more guys like to show up at the house, like the power went out in the middle of the storm.
Well, yeah, and the other thing too is that you say it's a short episode. Obviously, it's not short lengthwise.
45 minutes, yeah.
Right. But here's the thing: if the word I would use is deliberate.
Yeah.
Okay, they know where they're going with it. I still don't know. That's not a bad thing. Like, I don't think they're saying, "Yeah, we got an idea and we'll throw some hints in there. We'll kind of nudge it towards short." It's like, no, we have the exact ending in mind, and we're working our way backwards and putting in what we can.
The only thing I can think of is that Dan Chase is going to go and kill the Russian. He's going to go and pull a James Bond thing. Go and get his, whether Emily's alive or not, he wants revenge. He's going to go after this guy. He's going to kill him. And then he's going to find out that along the way that Emily's probably alive.
Yeah.
Look, that's the only way it can go.
We give 0% chance Emily's dead. I mean,
oh yeah, I give 0%. Yeah, and that
yeah.
and it's gonna be like Commando, bro. He's gonna go in and just kill everybody.
I keep hoping that this chick
or
that I don't care about that he was bagging that was with him. Keep forgetting her name because I
Zoe.
can't stand her. Zoe.
Yeah.
I want that bitch to get eaten by the dog, so I feel like she's going to end up having to be dirty somehow. She can't just be somebody that he ran into. It's too convenient. The way she was acting last episode, I didn't really make this comment. Maybe go, I want to see how she's acting in these next ones because a woman's going to have a lot of influence on a man, especially an older one.
Yeah, she's gonna tell him like, don't go in there, do this, you get yourself killed, and he's gonna be like, sorry Zoe, like the first one, I gotta do this, and he's gonna leave her, and she's gonna cry. Like that's the as far as I think it's go. She might. I'm curious to know what else that her and Morgan Boats talked about, but that might be just there as a red herring. The list make us think that there's more, but there isn't.
But nothing's been a red herring.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's true. So I don't know. We'll find out. Well, next time we review this, but we'll talk about that. But these drop on Thursday nights, or no, Sunday, Thursday nights. These drop, and then Tulsa Kings always every Sunday. So, but we'll review Tulsa Kings on Tuesdays, and we review The Old Man on Thursdays. That way, they're still fresh for anybody who's watched them on the day that they actually aired. So, yeah. I don't know what to say other than that. I think we talked about everything.
Yeah, we did. I mean, that's pretty much it for the episode. It's like I say, for me, it's a bit. It's engaging, but it's not those ones that you get emotionally sucked into. But like I say, I think because we're halfway through the season now, this episode represents that point where they're going, okay, we've got a couple episodes to set up. I have not looked for any information on a season 3. I think even though some of this was shot, I think around COVID times and there was delays and things have happened and all that too, that I think it's been good enough where it just hasn't been like, it's just tapering off. It definitely feels like it in its own way is starting to pick up momentum again and really fleshing out. This is not a show you can watch the second episode or some highlights and get caught up. You're going to miss it a lot. So I hate to say this, even though I like the fact it's a weekly drop, I get excited for it. You're going to have to binge watch it to get caught up on what's going on, or it's not, or you're going to watch the second episode being like, well, what do I care? What's the impact?
Yeah, the way this is filmed, like, it feels like this is a part of a movie. The way it's done so well. Like, I feel like this is like the right before he finds out so and so gets information. Now he's going to go the climax. He's going to kill people. Even though we're early on episode 5, got 3 more episodes. So
I just can't wait for 20 years from now when I can get movies about how the United States government is manipulating weather and trying to do all sorts of stuff like with this hurricane, because that's the big conspiracy theory out there, right? Because when we're watching this show here, it's about all stuff going on in the 80s that nobody believed. Oh my gosh, there's no way the CIA is running drugs, or the American government's involved in overthrows of other countries and for mineral deposits. There's no way that could be true. And you and I even talked about that when we talked about the Manchurian Candidate and how that's a thing now, right? So it's kind of funny how 3
Days of Condor was all about oil.
Exactly.
Oil. Now everybody wants to control lithium. BlackRock wants to control lithium over in North Carolina.
I'm not saying that's true or not. I'm simply saying I have some extended family out in that region that we've heard from, and the things that people say it's just interesting, and you never know. So I'm just getting ready for this hurricane. But Tuesday night, let everybody know what we're doing.
Well, Tuesday night we're going to do another episode of Tulsa King, which you guys seem to love. We're almost at 300 views on that last episode.
Nice,
which we do love. If you guys are watching Tulsa King, can also watch this too. This is a slow. It takes some slow progress for this to get in views, but we appreciate everybody here though. But if you haven't done so, please click like, subscribe. Tell us what your favorite part of the episode was. If we missed something, let us know. Or if we said something wrong, feel free to correct us. I don't care. I want to hear from people that are actually watching the show, because I feel like it's not just you and I watching this. There's got to be other people watching this show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely, yeah.
But all right,
there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Old Man, season 2, episode. Was this 5?
Yeah, episode 5 ready.
Oh yeah, more than halfway technically since we're done with it all there. Really good show. I honestly, I was not liking it starting it off. I was just kind of based off the end of season 1. It's picking up for me. I'm getting a little bit more hooked into it now. It's like, damn it, you went and did this to me, you bastard. But that's a good thing. Good night now.
Hey guys.